You see, I'm in charge of quality control. If they need me, they call me. You know, I can come up here, I have to get up on the scaffold and say, all right, this ain't gonna work. Now what? Then we put our heads together and figure it out, you know. I'm Jeff Poree. I'm the owner and operator of Jeff Poree Plastering, LLC. Plastering is my heritage. I was literally born into it. My father was a plasterer, his father, and his father. And I'm a member, or was a member of a union we had, which was more like a guild because it was a family thing. Probably 50 different families with 250 members that were craftsmen after craftsmen after craftsmen. As are the people that work for me, most of them are members of a plastering family. You know, as a child, I went to work with my father on Saturdays just so we could have time together. The good thing was I was with my father, just him and I. So going to work was a pleasure because, I mean, as a kid, I wasn't doing very much, but I did what I could to give you an assignment. You couldn't ask my father for money. You had to ask for something to do for money. I said, Dad, I need $5, and then I'd get a $10 job and get paid $5. You know, but it was fun. And but he was a good teacher. Even when I wasn't interested in learning, he was showing me why he's doing what he's doing. We make stuff for a lot of people. Some commercial, but mostly it's high-end residential. We do columns a lot, crown moldings, plastic crown moldings, which is a different design than a wood molding. You know, it's just different shapes, different design. We do the ceiling medallions, which we have over 50 different kinds, but mostly we plaster walls and ceilings, plain or with fancy items. You know, the beauty of working with craftsmen is you don't just learn a skill. You learn how to be a man. You learn how to treat a woman that's precious. You learn how to manage your money. You learn how to dress properly. These men back that generation, they would dress up to go to work, change into their work clothes, and their work shoes on the job site. We always had a room where everyone's clothes and their lunch was. So you had your clothes for the week over there, you bring the dirty ones home, and they get cleaned and they come back. So every morning, all these men would start at 7. They'd be to work for like 10 minutes after 6. They're all standing around, they've changed their clothes, changed their shoes. They're drinking coffee, they got thermos, okay, and then here comes a guy like me, the young guys, all of the trainees. We come to work at 10 minutes after 7, running and tell you, look, you're rushing, you can't get your mind right, you have to plan your day. We get here, we're talking about what we're going to do on our time, not the boss's time. When the clock starts at 7, we already know what we're gonna do because we've had 30 minutes to discuss it and plan it. It says it's not gonna never be right for you if you don't learn how to get up early and come on time. The 7th Ward is where most of the craftsmen lived. Everyone there is multiracial, and its tradition, I'm referred to as a French Creole. All right, so our tradition is craftsmanship. Okay, I live next door to my father's house. Next door is an electrician, a plumber, the Gauche is another family of plasterers, and every house in the neighborhood had a tradition. You see, all my friends, growing up, all I could play with were my family and the children of our parents' friends, who were all craftsmen. So growing up, I can remember working. One summer, I spent the summer with my friend Dalton Height and his father, Big Dalton, and Papa Carl, the grandfather, super carpenters. I spent a summer with them. I spent a summer with my Uncle Junius, my father's brother-in-law, who was a house painter. So I learned how to paint houses. I spent the summer with the bricklayers, with with Vic Suwan, who's a friend of mine. He's a masonry contractor. His grandfather, who he is named after, was one of my father's teachers. So we have an incestuous relationship. You could not walk into any of these unions unless a family member brought you into the trade. And if you were not up to it in the training program, before you could embarrass them, they took you out and you had to go find something else to do. It's a matter of family pride. You see, so when I got into this, and I'm working with my father's friends and contemporaries, whom I knew, 7 or 8 of these men I thought were my uncles. I found out when they died, they really weren't my uncles, okay, but they helped to train my father, and all of his friends were his contemporaries, and also the men who trained him of my grandfather's generation. So these people, I mean, they just lived their work. My father told me when he was an apprentice that there were, in his father's time, 5 Italian families who did ornamental work. Now, when they worked, they put up tarpaulins so you couldn't see what they were doing on their scaffold, and the boss allowed that, okay? And they're doing the same thing on the other side of the building, different techniques. So you see, they were so good, so successful at hiding what they did, that they literally took all their traditions to the grave with them, because they didn't train their kids to be plasterers. So they were very successful about taking what they knew to the grave, and that's what I don't want to do, because I know that story. You know, when you're in the trades, it becomes a way of life. You are part of a way of life. The part of town I'm in, these men work together. If someone was building a house, all their friends came on the weekend and helped for free. My grandfather ran the union for 36 years, and he had several properties. Everyone wanted to be in his good graces. So they'd come work the weekends for free. He'd even get some free material from people. We bought material, and every weekend they worked, and all he did was they'd come out and cook red beans and rice and hot sausage, and you could get a sandwich or a plate of beans, and they worked for free, and they were all happy and had fun working, and because he took care of everyone on his watch, which was during the Depression. We have a training program. We don't currently have a class because we don't have funding presently, but we started 6 years ago, and our first grant was given to us by the Archbishop. We had a $350,000 grant to train kids. That was $50,000 every 6 months, which is like a semester. For their money, we've only got like 7 trainees. They work in other places. I don't need an army. We want to train people because it's tradition, and because, I mean, it pays pretty good. You know, we work every day. We're not afraid of the heat. One time I sent these screens out to the job. They tell me, did you need a screen when you worked? No. Well, what makes you think we need that? I say, well, y'all older now. Well, so what? Okay, but you got to have the juice and a heart to do hard work. I had to work so hard and do everything everyone told me to do that when I became the boss, I got vengeful. And I was seeking vengeance, you see. So I would ask my father, I'd tell him, look, I got these 2 guys coming to work for me. What is their weak spot? What don't they do well? And he said, well, let me think. You know, we did such and such, and they had a hard time with that. Well, I go find exactly that to put them on, so they could make a mistake, then I could show them how to do it so that they'd have respect for me. I was young, and only the men I worked with, which was just a few guys, would have respect for me. So these guys would work for me, and but they didn't have any respect for me, so I had to learn how to get around that, okay? And then there were the ones that were really hard on me, and I learned to be hard on them, and I tell them, if you don't like it, go work somewhere else. Well, one day I woke up and I realized I wasn't making a lot of progress, and I had all this talent, And I talked to my father. He said, you got to be able to work with people. You can't just boss them around because you're the boss, you know? So I thought about it. And the next day I went to work, and it was Friday. And I said, look, everybody come here Monday morning. Don't go to the job. Everybody come to the shop. And I had all the plans on the table and talked to these guys about that. Then we had input from everybody. And I said, what do you think? And Emil would say, okay, well, if it was me, I'd do this, that, and the other. And we started doing business like that. Then everybody got friendlier with me instead of me having some adversarial relationships. I guess technically I grew into it and I grew up. Okay, vengeance is for God. Plastering's for me. I just wanted to plaster. So what started happening is everyone worked for me. Started coming to work every morning. So I bought a big commercial coffee pot and had coffee delivered. And every morning they would make like 12 cup pots of coffee by 6:30. So we were getting to work at 5:30, and then everybody go off and do what they got to do. I'll go visit them, and everything's coming along. In the evening, they started coming back in the evening. I said, man, y'all been in that sun 8 hours. What are you doing here? Oh, look, we need to talk about this. I said, we're going to do that in the morning. Yeah, we're going to talk about it now, too. So things got better, the work got better, and that's how I came into it, learning how to, I got 10 heads in a room. That's a whole lot better than one. I had all this talent that, like one of them used to tell me, I was doing this when you were crawling on the floor. Don't tell me how to do this. And then they showed me. You see, so it's been a wonderful journey.